You're listening to the European Parliamentary Research Service podcast on digital corporate taxation.
The European Commission has proposed new rules to ensure that large companies, including digital giants such as Google, Facebook or Amazon, pay fair tax in the EU.
But the new measures could face an uphill struggle, as some member states would prefer to see the issue dealt with at international rather than at European level. Want to know more? Stay with us.
In an ever-interconnected world, digital activities bring money. Lots of money.
Yes, they do. Digital companies have much higher annual growth rates than traditional bricks and mortar companies, 14% on average compared to 0.2% for other multinationals.
And their presence is growing. In 2006, only one digital company was among the top 20 global companies, accounting for a 7% market share. Today, 9 digital technology companies are in the top 20, accounting for a far more significant 54% market share.
But there's a problem, as this flourishing digital economy is substantially undertaxed when compared to more traditional companies.
So whereas traditional EU companies pay an average tax rate of over 23%, digital companies get away with less than 10%.
That's because current tax rules are based on the physical presence of taxpayers and assets and were not designed to cater for those companies that may have little or no physical presence.
This, together with often generous incentives from governments that want to support the growth of this promising sector and attract digital companies to their territory, means national tax authorities are losing out on significant revenues from digital giants.
So the challenge is to make the most of the digital revolution while ensuring that digital companies also contribute their fair share of tax. Now, how is the Commission planning to do that? Stay with us.
Well, as member states are starting to seek fast, unilateral solutions to tax digital activities, creating a legal minefield and tax uncertainty for business, the European Commission is convinced that a coordinated approach is the only way to ensure that the digital economy is taxed in a fair, growth-friendly and sustainable way.
So in March 2018, it came up with a new package of rules to ensure the fair taxation of the digital economy.
In addition to a short-term solution in the form of an interim tax covering the main digital activities that currently escape tax in the EU, the Commission also proposed a long-term solution with a reform of corporate tax rules to ensure that profits are registered and taxed where businesses have significant interaction with users through digital channels.
According to the proposal, member states will be able to tax profits generated in their territory, even if a company was not physically established there.
That's right. Proof that a company has a digital presence in a member state would be sufficient to make it pay taxes in that territory. But how can one prove that presence?
Well, the criteria are actually quite clear. The long-term tax will concern digital activities generating turnover and with more than 100,000 users or 3,000 business-to-business contracts annually.
In the future, the Commission hopes that these new measures could be integrated into the scope of the Common Consolidated Corporate Tax Base, its proposal for allocating profits of large multinational groups in a way which better reflects where the value is created. But for the moment, the Council is far from agreeing on that proposal.
The Commission believes the new package sets out a coherent approach to a digital taxation system which supports a digital single market and which will feed into international discussions aimed at fixing the issue at a global scale. But what do stakeholders think about it? Stay with us.
At parliamentary level, MEPs have long been asking for a clear and updated definition of permanent establishment to better reflect the digital presence of companies.
Actually, during discussions on the Common Consolidated Corporate Tax Base and the Common Corporate Tax Base directives, they voted in favour of emphasising the digital dimension of corporate tax with a view to creating a single and fair EU corporate tax regime.
But reactions from stakeholders are actually quite mixed. So while there is growing acceptance of the fact that digital firms should be subject to similar tax rates as traditional companies, many consider the initiative to be premature given the ongoing search for a lasting solution at global level through the Organisation for Economic Cooperation and Development.
To become law, all EU member states need to agree on the new rules, but at the moment, the EU 28 are also divided on the issue, with Germany, Spain, France, Italy and the UK pushing to move ahead with an EU solution and others such as Ireland, Denmark, the Netherlands or Malta pulling on the brake.
The Commission believes the measures would turn the EU into a global leader in designing tax laws fit for the modern economy and the digital age. But will they fly?
Well, what's certain is that there'll be difficult negotiations ahead, so expect to be reading about this issue for many months to come.
You're listening to the European Parliamentary Research Service podcasts.